Well, I read the first chapter of this book, Addictions and Grace, and I really thought it was refreshing. Just the idea that everything that holds us in bondage, everything that takes us from God and from pursuing God, can become an addiction, and just how everybody has some form of addiction or another. We all have dependencies, things that we can't live without, and I really feel like that's what the first chapter was about. And I really think that recovery and deliverance is a very important form of spiritual formation. Really, it is, I guess you could say, the fruit of spiritual formation is being set free from our old selves and being set apart for Christ. That's really the process of sanctification and being made holy and being the people that God's called us to be. So, my definition of addiction is a habit that just consumes us, something that we can't give up if we want to. And that's the same with bondage. It's something that we're just so entrenched in, something that becomes so much of a part of us that we just would rather do that than anything else, and that we wouldn't be able to get away from it and be set free from it, at least on our own. And then recovery and deliverance. Recovery is kind of that process of being set free from that addiction and bondage. And then deliverance is, I would say that's more of an immediate, or more of a, now you're done with that type of thing. Now you're done with that. And I think I know a few people that have been recovered from an addiction, or delivered from bondage to sin. And I think I even have in my own life. And I think we all have those areas in our lives that sometimes we can become so entrenched in it that we need deliverance. And really it's only by God's grace. And I know in my own experience, it's never been on my own that I've been able to be set free from those habits and addictions and bad things that I've done in my life. But it was really through just giving myself to God and having other people help me be accountable, and just having those relationships with God and with other people. And that's really what it's about. And my former churches haven't made a huge priority to recovery and deliverance. And I know in some extent it's kind of been a part of it, but it hasn't really been a big focus. And I would say my last church, New Life, was probably the biggest focus on recovery and deliverance. Just some of the terms that we used, some of the prayer requests, and just Pastor Jim and his desire to see people who are set free and set apart for God. And my current church, I'm still kind of getting the hang of it. This is my third week as a lead pastor, and we haven't exactly gotten to recovery and deliverance yet. But I believe at some point, especially when we start seeing people come to Christ, it's often the messy people, the people whose lives are falling apart, that are really open to Christ. And we see that in his ministry. And so I would say that's my experience with recovery and bondage.